Good evening, all of you. In the last class, I told you about the sanity method, how to do the sanity method, all these things I did. And in this class, I'm going to discuss about the last method that is the fourth method, that is depreciation fund method. And when we go for this depreciation fund method, one thing you have to keep in mind is this is also known as sinking fund method. Okay, some people they'll write sinking fund and some people they'll write depreciation sinking fund and some people they'll write depreciation fund. Whatever it may be, it is correct. Okay, don't be of that opinion that depreciation fund is different and sinking fund is different. Both are one and the same. And one more thing I want to tell you is you'll come across again sinking fund when we go for debentures. Okay, their debentures fund or sinking fund. There also you had to call this as sinking fund. And here we have to consider that as depreciation fund. Okay. So what is this depreciation fund and how it is valued and how it is treated? In this depreciation fund, first of all, what we have to do is whatever it may be the depreciation that we come across, okay, according to sinking fund tables or depreciation fund tables. Okay, we have to calculate first of all the depreciation amount, and that depreciation amount is constant. Okay, it won't change. Every year, the same amount you will come across, and we have to transfer the depreciation fund to is to this separate account known as depreciation fund. Okay, just like a fund, reserve fund, general reserve, we will keep this depreciation fund, and whatever it may be the fund that we come across, we have to invest in small investments, that is just 1 year. 1 year maximum thing is 1 year. In that small investments we have to invest the money, and when we are investing, automatically we are going to get the interest amount, and this interest amount also we have to transfer to depreciation fund. That is, we are going to use this interest amount again for reinvestment. So whatever it may be, the interest that we come across will transfer to depreciation fund or sinking fund, anything. Okay, don't be of that opinion. Okay, that this method and that method is different because the names only they'll change, but the procedure is one and the same. So after transferring the interest amount to depreciation fund, and then again we have to, I mean, transfer the depreciation amount, and we have to find out this is the investments. We have to invest that in the investments, and that investments also they'll come across for 1 year. Okay, at the end of the life of the asset, at the end of the life of the asset, and whatever it may be the years that he had given you, you have to do this. Okay, transfer to depreciation fund, and again investing that in the investment, short-term investments, all these things. And after the given period of time or at the end of the life of the asset, we have to sell the investments in the open market. When we are selling the investments in the open market, automatically what will happen is we'll come across some amount, and where with that amount we can able to purchase an asset. So this is nothing but providing depreciation, and from the provision of depreciation, okay, we are going to get an asset. We are using the money for the replacement of the old asset with a new asset. This is the thing that we come across in this. Okay, and when you go for the asset will appear in the balance sheet on the asset side at its original cost. And depreciation fund investments, where they will appear, they will also appear on the asset side of the balance sheet. But depreciation fund as a reserve, it will appear on the liability side of the balance sheet. And whatever it may be the surplus that we come across in depreciation fund, because after sale of this depreciation fund investments, okay, you won't come across anything. You will come across the profit or loss, whatever it may be, and this profit or loss also it must be transferred to depreciation fund. If you get profit amount, it will be added to depreciation fund, and if you come across any deficit, it should be deducted from the depreciation fund. Okay, now whatever it may be the surplus that we come across, we have to transfer to general reserve. And suppose, sir, if there is any deficit, I'm telling that if there is any deficit, okay, you have to transfer to profit and loss account. Okay, so like this, you'll come across the depreciation fund method or sinking fund method. Okay, now we are going about the theory part and what the entries that we come across. Okay, here in this problem or in this topic, in this method, we'll come across so many entries. Okay, we'll come across so many entries, not like that of vanity method. And moreover, every year some entries will repeat. Every year some entries will repeat. So those things we have to take. What entries we will come across every year, and what accounts, what entries that we will come across at the beginning as well as at the end. These things you must be very cautious, and every year you have to pass the entries. Whatever it may be the time period that was given, you have to pass that many years the entries, and then you have to prepare depreciation fund account, depreciation fund investments account, depreciation account, and asset account. And these are the main accounts that we come across, and remaining things are nothing but the optional accounts. It is at your will and wish you can prepare the accounts. But thing is, four accounts, that is depreciation fund account, okay, depreciation fund account, depreciation fund investments account, next depreciation account, next asset account. These are the four accounts that we have to prepare compulsory in this method. Okay, so don't get yourself confused, because when you are familiar with these entries, automatically when you go for debentures, automatically you can be in a position to follow, and you can be in a position to prepare those entries also. You can able to understand, all right, this thing we have to do, like this we have to do. All these things we can able to understand, and we can able to solve the problems whatever it was given. So this is okay regarding the depreciation method that we come across. And these are the four important methods when we go for depreciation. And one thing I'm going to tell you, the other methods, that is insurance policy method, depletion method, and sum of digits method, and mission hour rate method, all these things you'll come across. That is revaluation method. All these things you'll come across, but those things, they are not that much important. Okay, they are also important, but at degree standard and below that, that is if you take into account intermediate 10 plus 2 degree standard. Okay, when you go for PG and other professional courses, then you have to think about the other four methods also. But the problematic portion, it will be very, very limited and less when we go for other four methods. Generally, people, they can prepare or they can follow any method. Okay, it is their thing to decide what method we have to follow and what method we have to leave. So these things you have to keep in mind. Thereby you can do the problems without any difficulty. Okay, so let us go for this depreciation fund method. Depreciation fund method. It is also known as sinking fund method. Under this method, not only depreciation is charged on the asset, but also provision is made for the purchase of a new asset at the end of the life of the old asset. The amount written off as depreciation every year is kept aside and invested in easily realizable securities. Easily realizable securities. The interest received on the investments is also reinvested. Thus, the investments accumulate at compound interest. At the end of the life of the old asset, the investments are sold and a new asset is purchased with the sale proceeds. The amount of depreciation to be provided every year is constant and is ascertained with reference to depreciation or sinking fund tables. Compulsory, you have to calculate the depreciation amount before going to the journal entries. That is compulsory. Like how you calculated the depreciation when you go for annuity method. In the same way, you have to calculate first of all the depreciation amount, how much we have to charge. After getting this depreciation, then that depreciation amount is constant, is fixed, it won't change. And every year we have to transfer the depreciation amount to depreciation fund account. Mind it, don't forget this. Every year we have to transfer the depreciation amount to the depreciation fund account. So when you transfer, automatically that amount will accumulate, will give some amount for reinvestment or making investments, and to get the amount that is required for the replacement of the old asset with a new asset. The asset is shown on the asset side every year at its original cost, as I told you in the beginning. In the balance sheet, depreciation fund investments is also shown on asset side, whereas depreciation fund is shown on liabilities side of the balance sheet. This is about the thing that we come across. Now we are going for the journal entries what we come across in this. Okay, at the beginning of the first year, at the beginning of the first year, okay, asset account data to bank account. At the beginning of the year, when we are purchasing an asset, okay, asset account data to bank account. That is the first journal entry. Then second one, for erection or installation charges and overhauling, etc. So when you are going to erect and when you are going to install the asset, then what we have to do? So the entry is asset account data to bank account. Same, the amounts whatever it may be, we have to transfer to asset account only. Next, third one, for transfer of depreciation to depreciation fund account. For transfer of depreciation to depreciation fund, okay, account. Depreciation account data to depreciation fund account. Next, fourth one, for charging depreciation to profit and loss account. Okay, depreciation is nothing but a chargeable loss, charged loss. So you have to transfer to profit and loss account. Then the entry is profit and loss account data to depreciation account. Okay, so after this, the fifth one is for investment for investment of depreciation amount from depreciation fund. From where you will invest, from depreciation fund only you have to invest. So depreciation fund investment account data to bank account. Okay, so the entry is depreciation fund investment account data to bank account. And one thing you have to keep in mind is wherever I'm using depreciation fund, you can also use sinking fund in that place. Okay, fine. In subsequent years, after first year, in the coming next years, in the next subsequent means next, in subsequent years, for interest earned on depreciation fund investment. So you will get, because you are taking short-term investments, say for example 1 year. So when you are getting interest, that interest amount, how we have to show that? Bank account data to interest on depreciation fund investment account. Bank account data to depreciation fund investment account. Next, for transfer of interest on depreciation for transfer of interest on depreciation fund investments to depreciation fund. Okay, so interest on depreciation fund investments account data to depreciation fund account. This is the entry that we come across. And here note, entries third, fourth and fifth will repeat every year. Third entry is for transfer of depreciation to depreciation fund, for charging depreciation to profit and loss account, and for investment of depreciation amount. These are the entries that will come every year. That will come every year. Now, after that, we are going for the sale. For sale of depreciation fund investments at the end of the life of the asset, at the end of the life of the asset. Bank account debtor to depreciation fund investments account. We are getting money. Okay. Next, for profit on sale of investments. When we get profit on sale of investments, depreciation fund investments account debtor to depreciation fund account. Here the profit also it must be transferred to depreciation fund. Next, for loss on sale of investments, when you come across any loss, okay, the above entry will be reversed, like depreciation fund account debtor to depreciation fund investments account. Okay, like this you will come across for loss on sale of investment. Next, for transfer of the amount of book value of the asset to depreciation fund account. Depreciation fund account debtor to asset account for transfer of the amount of book value of the asset, okay, to depreciation fund account debtor to asset account. That is, I'm just repeating that. Okay, next, for surplus amount in depreciation fund account transferred to general reserve account. When you come across, after all these things, when you come across any surplus amount, then that surplus amount, whatever it may be in depreciation fund, it must be transferred to, okay, general reserve. So the entry is depreciation fund account debtor to general reserve account. Okay, this is the entry that we have to pass. Next, for deficit amount, in the place of surplus amount, if you come across any deficit amount, for deficit amount in depreciation fund account transferred to profit and loss account, because it is nothing but a deficit loss, so you have to transfer to profit and loss account. So profit and loss account debtor to depreciation fund account. This is the entry. Now, when we are purchasing a new asset, okay, for purchase of a new asset, asset account debtor to bank account. Okay, so these are the entries that we come across when we go for depreciation fund account or sinking fund account. So with this, I'm stopping, and tomorrow we are going for the problematic part.